I have a problem in that with when I'm around my mother, I'm the conversation always seems to steer towards something to do with religion, and I end up causing a lot of worry to my mother because she she has a lot of beliefs that are in the Catholicism. So she's a very devout Roman Catholic person, and like very strong belief that abortion is evil. That the doctor performing when abortion is happening, there is a real, fully aware, alive human person there that's being ground up and sucked away, and that person that's there has this a right to come into existence. That individual there that's there and that growing inside of that woman's body is as should have all of the rights, inalienable rights, and full privileged rights of all of adults, and be given the treatment that they would never be harmed, never be killed. So there's this murder that's happening to a sentient being, and my mother gets really emotional. She's very concerned about the Virgin Mary and warning people, and then there's this believing that there is a God that's going to cause retribution, vengeance upon humankind because we've aborted um, undeveloped human bodies that we've scraped out of a woman growing inside of a woman's uterus. That those people are like they're in anguish. Those little tiny little embryos are crying out to this God creator, this divine will, this omniscient force in the universe. These little fetuses are in agony, in anguish. They're suffering in torment by being scraped out of a woman's body, and during the process of being scraped out of that woman's body, these little beings, these little souls, are like in agony. So it's very important that they be given the opportunity to live, that they come and be a fully formed, they're birthed, and then they grow into an adult, a person. They should. It's evil that we're not allowing this. That we're allowing women to voluntarily go and have a doctor remove that growth of that humanoid that's inside of them. So, and I try to explain. Well, didn't you take biology classes? You went to all these schools and you learned about biology. You dissected different kinds of animals. You've studied animal anatomy. You know about how the body works. You know what cells are. You know what tissues are. You understand a nervous system. You can understand that there are certain levels of consciousness. There are certain states of conscious awareness that are you grow into a certain consciousness at different stages in your life when you're a growing person. So there's probably a lot of time when you're growing inside of the body of the woman, of your mother, that you're not really feeling the same feelings that you feel right now as an adult. So it could have been that you were in a deep sleep, or you could have been in a coma, or you could have been unconscious. At that level of consciousness, then that was the level of consciousness of that growing embryo. There wasn't somebody that could scream, that writhed in pain, that was experiencing a very, very, very unpleasant, painful situation. And if there was a being there that was experiencing this horrible, unpleasant situation, then it didn't last that long because there's not a fully formed brain there, and it takes a fully formed brain to maintain a sense of sentience, a sense of consciousness, because we are a nervous system. That's what consciousness is. It's just nerves, a series of nerves that are firing all together that give us this ongoing impression of being an alive person. So at the stage of that small stage of cellular development of the organism, in the fetus state, it didn't have that fully aware being, presence of being that you and I have, of grown adults. And then when you, which I heard in Mendehem mentioning on one of his videos about other animals having just as way more conscious experiences than a small little growing fetus that's only a few weeks old, that a chicken or a pig or a farm animal has way more sense capability of being having sensations of emoting of qualia than a small, not even grown physical human organism that's growing inside of a on the walls of the uterus or down the fallopian tube. So I and Catholics have this obsession. They have this fixation about what people's sexual behavior should be, and that women should not be with women, that men should not be with men, and they strongly adhere to the family values, the core family values of Christian doctrine, um, based on the belief that there is a God, and that God is commanding or dictating or putting into law certain codes of behavior, certain ethical codes of behavior. And people are very much fixated upon sexuality and what people are doing in their privacy of their homes or in their private lives with each other. They have a right to do that. And if they feel that they're not harming anyone, and they love their people that love each other, they love that experiences of being with other people, maybe the same sex, then who is someone else to say that's wrong? Why is that unethical if there is no harm? You see, only morals is meaningful because something experiences a negative sensation somewhere down the line because of that effect from the initial cause. So if the initial cause, if the behavior wasn't causing any harm or wasn't causing any negative effects in the chain of events, then that is not unethical. Ethical is when it affects a sentient being. So like a sentient experiencing being that's experiencing in a cage, or it's living in a barn in a stall, or it's swimming around in water and it's getting caught in a net, or that's more of a sensation of that animal having more of a sensation than a little tiny little non-developed human embryo. And I try to explain that, it's like, oh, there's a soul there and it wants to be born. It's floating around and it's waiting and waiting and waiting. It's going, oh, I want to be alive. I want to come into being human, live and be a human being. Oh, and you're stopping that from happening, and that's hurting them. No. There's no one there. There's sleeping. It's like not even a person that's awake yet. That there's no person there yet. So I don't understand why people are still talking in the Middle Ages like they are in the Middle Ages when we have modern medicine, when we understand how the human brain works and how how organisms respond to sensation, and how memory works in the brain, and how we emote, in different parts of the brain control different physiological processes in the body, in the sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system, all the systems of the body, and understanding anatomy, and that understanding the growing process of a human organism as it grows. The neural cord grows, the brain stem grows at so many weeks old, and by the time the child is big enough or formed enough to be able to feel that it's existing, it may be many months. It may not be just a few weeks. A few weeks could be just cells, and then it's emoting and feeling when it's so many months old, 3 or 4 months old. So where do you draw the line there? And I think that's the problem, is they use that demarcation line. This is human, this is not human at conception, which I think that's unreasonable. I think that's far too draconian to say it just starts at the you're a human being, bang, when the sperm meet the ovum and it's joined. But that's just, but there's no sensing thing there. That's what I'm saying. There's no you, like someone that's just like you that fully feels themselves as they are. There's a chicken in a chicken house right now. It's like really probably way feeling more horror than even the most grown baby in a womb, as if it was being vacuumed out or taken out by force. So the amount, how do you? It's the value on on the amount of the suffering that's happening. That's what is like not logical. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Thanks for listening. Bye.